Hi everyone, Monk here. I took a survey a few days ago, well, depending upon when I release this video, but it was a good one. I asked you guys about what does the phrase man up mean to you, and I got a lot of really good feedback where I shared that. So I was going to talk a little bit about that today, what I think about it, and incorporate some of your feedback as well. The reason I asked that question was I heard that a lot growing up, and I never really got what it meant, I think. So that was kind of my way into asking that question. What does it mean? It was always used like when I was a kid playing sports or when I wasn't feeling good, and my mom and dad would just make me go to school. I would just be told, man up. Or we're at football practice and we run a play wrong a couple of times and it's hot outside. Our coach would say, y'all got to do this right, man up. I guess I kind of grew up thinking this like, does this mean act like a man? Because a lot of the times the people telling me this, for instance, like a coach, well, is acting like a man, does that mean sitting over here? In my hat and sunglasses with my bottle of water, yelling orders at people? It doesn't mean that at all, but that was the example I was given in a lot of cases. So growing up and now becoming a man myself, well, I hope that I'm a man. I guess that's even up for debate in today's PC soft society. And that's part of it. I would say to society, look, man up. You're soft. Get over it. Move forward. Stop being a victim. Stop playing the poor me card. I think all of these relate to what we use when we hear that term man up. Um, some of the feedback I got concerned that when we use that phrase, we're asking people to ignore their internal state, ignore their emotions. And I think it can be misconstrued that way. And I think a lot of times when we are provided with that example, people have showed it that, like, hey, you get stuff done, you be tough, you ignore what's going on really internally. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think that gets down to what we really mean when we're saying it. I think that's a result of a bad example we've been given. I think to truly man up, you have to acknowledge everything that's going on inside of you. And in spite of the bad feelings, in spite of the fear, in spite of the weakness you may feel, or the insecurity, or the frustration, you move forward anyway. Man up. You move forward anyway. You do what needs to be done anyway, regardless of what you're feeling. Because guess what? When you are moving forward, you're acknowledging it. You're not hiding from it. You're not ignoring it. You acknowledge. And when you acknowledge those feelings, when you acknowledge those negative emotions, you actually make room in your life to deal with them and to change them, and thus change the world around you, change your circumstances, because this stuff happens on a feedback loop. You have a negative within you, you react negatively here, you put negative out there, it creates a negative circumstance, and now you are in a situation where you're blaming the circumstance when the reality is you created the circumstance. So man up. Take responsibility for the situation that you're in. No one else put you there but you. They say, well, what about kids who are abused? What about kids who are put in this situation and grew up in it? Well, guess what? That sucks. That's tough. I've worked with those children for the past few years in my profession. It's a tough place to be in. But at a certain point, even them, they can't keep blaming their circumstances. Just like you can't keep blaming your circumstances. I don't know you. I don't know your situation. But what I am saying is it's time to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and take responsibility for everything that's in your life right now. Because that's the only way you're going to gain the power. That's the only way you're going to stop being a victim. Man up. You've got to man up because you have got to start ruling over your circumstances, because that's where the happiness comes from. That's where you start to retain and regain personal power. That's where you start to feel love, and the love that you feel is the love that you're able to give to others. And then guess what? When you're giving that love to others, you get that love and more back, which means you're able to give more. And that gets down to the root of a lot of this insecurity, and the root of why a lot of times when this phrase gets used around, people are accused of being sexist. People are accused of being insensitive. It's not being insensitive. It's speaking a hard truth where it needs to be spoken. Man up. Do what needs to be done. Do what is necessary. Rise to the occasion. Rise to the occasion so someone else isn't having to come in and save you. I've been in that situation, man. I wouldn't be here today. Period. I wouldn't even be alive if certain people hadn't stepped in and stood in front of my garbage and my doo-doo. But at a certain point, people had to stop doing that for me. People had to stop saving me and say, look, dude, you got to learn how to swim on your own. You've got to tread water for a while, and your option is you're either going to drown or you're going to get really strong and become a really good swimmer. And guess what? I learned how to swim, and a lot of us have. But guess what? We can still get better. We can still keep changing, keep growing, keep evolving in our circumstances, keep evolving internally, keep transforming the world around us. Because I don't know if you have noticed, but we're still at war. People are still getting slaughtered. People still getting slaughtered for what they believe in. People are still slaughtering people because of their beliefs. People have died so you can sleep in that bed. So you could sleep in till 9 o'clock on Saturday. People died to give you that right. People died to give me this right to be here in front of you, speaking into a camera, so I could have this soapbox to rant freely without any fear of repercussion from some violent people or my own government. Because people manned up. People did what is necessary. I don't understand what all the complaining is about. We're living literally in the best time in history. We're living in the hinge of history, where things happen faster now than they ever have at any point ever. But also, like, the ease of things, just the nature of like what's in front of me. I can click a button, type in a few words, and access any information I am looking for within seconds. Even 10 years ago, I couldn't do that. I had to go to a library. I can walk into my kitchen in there, open the refrigerator, and have a meal that would have been fit for a king 100 years ago. What are we complaining about? The issue is we've gotten soft because we're expecting someone to come in and save us from ourselves. Look, you're the only one that's going to be able to do that for yourself. You've got an eternal spirit, an eternal element resting and residing inside you. It's more powerful than any force in the universe. It lives in each and every one of us. But if you don't acknowledge it, if you don't man up and use that to overcome your current situation, then we're going to remain victims our whole life. So let's man up. Let's be honest. Let's be truthful. Let's not be afraid to stand under the judgment and expect of ourselves great things, but also forgive ourselves when we don't meet the mark. It's a fine line. It's a dichotomy. On the one hand, you have to hold yourself to a high standard. On the other hand, you got to forgive yourself when you don't live up to the standard. But forgiving yourself is not an excuse for going out and getting after it hard every day. So, all that being said, y'all, thanks for the feedback. I'm going to get off my soapbox now. Man up. Feel free to share with me how you man up in your life day to day. And this applies to the ladies too. It's just a matter of speaking. Man up, woman up. I love you all, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.